We are powerful because we have survived, and that is what it is all about, survival and growth. Audrey Lord. Today on QT, Black, Queer, and Culture. Stay with us. Hello and welcome to QT, Queer Temple, the show in which we explore the world through the lens of LGBTQ plus individuals. My name is Laila Page and I am your new and gorgeous host. Today we'll sit down for a conversation about Black queer culture with our guests, Temple's own Greg Cox and Diamond Blacc. First up, I'm very happy to introduce Greg Cox.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
First, tell me about yourself.
I'm currently a sophomore at Temple, majoring in business management and real estate. And I've been modeling for about 2 years now.
Cool. How is modeling, if you could tell us some more about that?
Modeling is a great profession for me just because I'm a creative person. So through modeling, I'm allowed to dress how I want, change my hair color, you know, add different accessories and stuff like that. So it's just been a great way for me to express just who I am.
So you could say you're very authentic.
Yes.
That's good.
Yes.
Is there any achievements that you've made during your modeling career or any achievements that you hope to make?
I recently got my first magazine publication for a big brand that's worked with like Beyonce and Sean Ross.
Wow.
So that was really like a highlight moment in my career. And I've just worked with like several different brands. I've worked with Polo before, Shein. So it's just been great to get good recognition as a Black queer person.
Right.
Yeah, so it's a really good industry to, you know, make room for yourself.
Right. How would you say being Black and queer helps you pursue those steps in your career? Like, would you say it's easier going forward, or is there some backtracks? Or if there's backtracks, how do you one up those obstacles?
Definitely being a Black queer person in the fashion industry, there's just a lot of like, you know, shady things that go on. So sometimes you might not get a casting due to your skin color or your orientation. So I just like to push myself like every day. I never, you know, limit myself to any opportunity, no matter if it's like my height doesn't match up or maybe I'm not the right orientation. I still always apply myself and, you know, put myself out there. I never shy away.
Can you make a living off of modeling?
Yes, I actually moved into my first apartment last year.
Congratulations.
Thank you, and it's been all from modeling.
That's great. I know modeling isn't sheltered or shied away from the LGBTQ plus community, especially in the ballroom, because you have voguing and a lot of fashion statements that are made in the ballroom. Do you think learning about the history that happened in the ballroom, like fashion statements, do they inspire you or do they help you make a name for yourself or gonna make a name for yourself?
Most definitely, because that is just a part of like my community. I'm involved with, you know, the LGBTQ community. So for example, like shows like Pose on Netflix, which show like, you know, trans lives, and it shows how, you know, fashion really makes a difference in a person's life and can really be their motivation. So most definitely.
What do you say the best thing is about modeling for you?
The freedom. Like I'm able to create my own schedule. I'm able to kind of move about, and traveling. Traveling is phenomenal.
That's good.
Yes.
Would you want to make your own brand, or do you have your own brand?
I would not want to make my own brand, but I would make my like own management for like other models who are in college and kind of help them, because it's definitely difficult to manage a modeling career and be a college student.
Yeah.
So I would definitely open up like some firm to help other, you know, models in college navigate through their career and their
That's good.
other longevities.
Yeah. Do you have a role model or somebody that you look up to?
Ooh, I really want to say Rihanna.
Yes.
Just because like her dropping Fenty, and she just dropped a recent show, and there was just so many like inclusiveness in it, like different body types, different orientations, and it was just great to see that in the fashion industry, since that's not like always prevalent.
Have you always wanted to be a model, or did it come up like this year, or like recently?
So I've always kind of wanted to be a model, but I didn't know how to approach a situation. So I was kind of like an influencer at first, like doing like TikToks for brands and Instagram stories for brands. And then I just started like applying to castings and going to castings, and then I just built a portfolio by the end of last year, and I was modeling.
Would you say that's the best way to approach the new career?
It depends, because modeling is an industry where everyone can kind of make their own path. So like there's a lot of like Instagram agencies or smaller agencies, so you don't always have to like go straight to New York and like, try to get signed. You can like be a freelancer, you could just model for e-commerce. So it's like a lot of different steps you can take to become a model.
Where has you said you travel a lot. What's the best place you traveled to?
I would definitely
as
say
far as right now?
Miami. Like it's just such a great place. It's always hot, so your pictures always like are in daytime, it's sunlight. So it's just a great place to like make content, and you just kind of get to meet different creatives, and
What's your next plan? Do you want to keep modeling, or do you want to say like move up in the world?
So I'm planning on keeping modeling. This year I'm planning on getting signed, and I'm also auditioning for New York Fashion Week, which is sometime in September. Thank you. So a busy schedule, but we're sticking with modeling for sure.
Okay, that's so great.
Yes.
Not personal question, but if it wasn't modeling, what would be the second best thing you would do?
I would have to say probably influencer. Because
in the modeling,
not even, just like probably separately, like just taking content for brands, because like I'm very good with camera and like phone, so just like probably taking takeovers for other small brands, their clothing, and just helping them out that way.
That's cool. What do you say the coolest brand you've sponsored for would be, in your opinion?
Definitely Polo, because they kind of sent me this custom cologne, and it was cool to see like I was working with a big name like that, so definitely Polo.
That's good.
Yes.
That's good. What do you say your greatest achievement would be in modeling? And do you hope to approach more achievements?
I will definitely say the longevity that I've had, just because like, most models start off at 6 foot, and I'm like 5'9", 5'8", so it's definitely been a challenge to keep getting like bookings and stuff like that. So my longevity has like been my biggest achievement, and I don't know, I just keep breaking barriers, so that's like the only way I can get through that.
Greg, thank you so much again.
Thank you so much for having me,
You're
Laila.
welcome. Up next, someone who's been on QT before, we have Diamond Blacc in the studio to talk about his career that went through the roof within the last year. Let's check it out.
Just know when Diamond lead a city, you host thirsting in a drought. DIAMONDBLACC, yes, that's me. Cale gente, pare gentes, I say fuego recipe. You know I'm a thoroughbred, crown me the highest pedigree. Homosexual minus the homosexual. You can spend the night with Diamond and you know I sex you well. Make you mine just for the night, but it's our secret you can't tell. Hocus pocus, always focus, got you hooked under my spell. Out, 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 out. Pride flag on my back, so you know what I'm about. It's a blessing that I'm here, I thank the Lord, you know I shout. Love yourself, respect yourself, you are a star, so do not doubt. Big up to my haters.
Today we're talking about Black queer culture, and I have Diamond Blacc here with me. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
You're welcome. So you were here last time, right? Last year, I think?
Yes.
Yes, can you tell us how it's been for you since we saw you last year?
Yeah, absolutely. Very different. Obviously, we're sort of coming out of the pandemic, so it's nice to be here. Last time it was via Zoom. But I'm doing very well, just staying ahead with classes. Music-wise, it's been huge. I think the last time I was here, I was just sort of discussing my EP. And now I've been since releasing my music, just sort of gaining a lot of traction in my career thus far, and just having fun.
That's
so,
good.
Yeah.
Personal question: how did you start from not like the bottom, but coming up now? How would you say, and how would you tell anybody who wants to be in your shoes how to start?
Well, Well, for anybody out there that has a dream or, you know, has something they believe in, I think the first thing to do is to just start. I think so often we kind of have let our minds sort of play tricks on us and sort of tell us all the whys or the cans, or we're not ready. So I think anyone out there that has, you know, an idea or a dream or whatnot, I would say to just start, you know what I mean? And whatever it is, but don't be afraid to sort of take that first move. And it's okay if you don't know, you're not really sure, but that's kind of where you sort of gain. So I think really just get started.
Right. How challenging was it for you, if you consider it challenging, to actually make a name for yourself in the industry?
I think it's definitely like hard at first. I mean, you start off where no one really knows you. Nobody knows what you're doing. Nobody really cares. Honestly, nobody's really that concerned. So it was definitely difficult at first, but I think what I learned is just the most important is just to really believe in yourself. I think with anything, if you start off believing in yourself, people will believe in you. So with that and consistency, I know from my own personal experience, I noticed that things have just sort of grown. So just really consistency, sort of dedication, and really having faith in yourself. You can do anything.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. How would you say you promote yourself?
Oh man, I'm all over the place. I am. I think the biggest though, what a lot of people don't see is like word of mouth. I think people so often look at the things that we put online or that we post out there, but I think it's really a lot more that goes on behind the scenes of just sort of from introducing myself to building good relationships to sort of establishing and, you know, maintaining strong relationships with people. I think that that's the stuff that we don't really see on the surface, but I feel like that's been at least my biggest sort of secret notch, is just to reach out to people, to be transparent, to be authentic, and to just sort of establish good relationships with people. I think that really goes very far, and it definitely is beneficial.
Yeah, my dad says it's not what you know, it's who you know. So do you think that having connections, especially in the entertainment industry, is really important and is like a big factor in what you do?
Yes, I think with anything, making connections and having networks is really important. And to everyone who out there, like, I didn't start knowing everything about the music industry or having these sort of inside sort of connects or whatnot, but it really was just putting myself out there, being willing to learn, being willing to just introduce myself, to be able to be willing to just be vulnerable and sort of ask questions is how I've sort of built a network thus far.
Right. How do you write your lyrics, and what inspires you to write your lyrics?
I'm really inspired by like a lot of things. A lot that I reflect on in my music is like my past, present, and future, but I really focus on just everyday life. So it could be like maybe a day that I'm having, or something that happens to me, or just something that I feel like I need to just sort of get out. But for me, I really, with music, it's more the beat. I sort of just have to listen to it a few times, and I don't know, it just really speaks to my soul, and I just sort of, whatever starts to come out, you know, it starts very raw, just on like a piece of paper and maybe a little sticky pad, and I just sort of grow and evolve on that. But really just repetition, vulnerability.
Right. Your song Out, I love it.
Thank you so much.
What would you say inspired that song? Because I know just by the title itself, it's very like proud to be, you know, who you are, and like, I'm, you know, this, that, and the third. What inspired you to write that, and, you know, what do you hope your listeners get out of that song too?
Okay. Well, what inspired me to write it was really, I just wanted to be fearless. I feel like when I wrote that particular song, I had just released my first EP, and it was sort of a very different sort of subject matter. So I know for a time I sort of feared that I would be, you know, perceived differently, or, you know, coming out of left field with another topic matter. But really, I just felt like as an artist and as a person, while my sexuality doesn't have everything to do with like who I am or musically, it's definitely a part of that. And I felt like sort of after releasing like the first EP, you know, you always that next project after your first is like maybe that sort of sophomore sort of scare or whatnot, but it was just a song that I really wanted to let people know that it's okay to be yourself. You know what I mean? I was like, it's much bigger than sexuality. It's just really speaking to the pride that everyone should have, you know, within themselves and for themselves. So writing that one was definitely just one I sort of took on faith. I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew that my intention was to really just uplift people and inspire people, and it's actually been like my most successful song to date, so I'm really glad I took that risk.
Would you say that's your favorite song, or?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think I wrote it, I was so nervous, I was so afraid to sort of write this song. I knew it was something in my heart and something that I wanted to get out, but it just just writing it, thinking about it, really having the courage to put it out there, I'm not gonna lie, it really freaked me out. I was really afraid, but I think as an artist thus far, it's been one of the most challenging, sort of scariest, but most rewarding things that I've done. So I'm really proud of it.
That's good. How do you feel about society's response to queer artists? And I know being a queer artist yourself, do you experience those challenges, or do you, is there anything that's prepping you to go out into the world knowing that there's challenges coming for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I've sort of just always have sort of adapted this sort of mindset where I really won't let anything deter me or get me down once I've sort of made up my mind. In terms of being a queer artist, I was like, it's something that I'm very, very proud of. You know, I'm proud of my community, proud to be where I come from. But I think it's important that we not only realize that, you know, while I am a queer artist, I'm also an artist, you know what I mean? And I feel like that comes first. So while I'm proud of my sexuality and I, you know, promote where I'm from and so forth, it's not the only thing. And it's really, when you think about it, such a small aspect of just artistry, you know, in its entirety. So I think, you know, things are changing now where I think we're seeing definitely more acceptance, definitely more inclusion, but I think it's just a nice time to just celebrate music and arts itself, you know what I mean? Without a sexuality or label sort of attached to it. And I, you know, I like to think that we are moving in that sort of direction.
I totally agree, because I feel like in this moment, especially in, you know, today's society, I feel like just to be yourself and just to be proud of who you are is what's most important, like you said, because at the end of the day, you're not just a queer artist, you're an artist. And I think, you know, if you stay true to that, and this goes for anybody, then that's, you know, what matters. If you had to describe Diamond Blacc's music in 3 words, what would you describe it as?
Okay, I would describe my music as, let's see, eclectic, bold, and inspirational.
What would you say is next for Diamond Blacc?
For me, definitely more music, more projects. I have a lot of things in the works. I've always been, I don't like to ever say beforehand, but a lot of surprises, some things some opportunities that have come up that I'm really looking forward to. So more music, more shows, more videos, connections, and just continuing to follow my dreams.
This is like a personal question.
Yeah, sure.
How do you prep for shows and audiences? Do you ever deal with anxiety, or was that something you dealt with at first and then did it just go away after?
Yeah, no, absolutely. The anxiety is always there. I think a lot of what it is a fear of the unknown. So like with really anything that I do, if I sort of have a sort of anxiety or any sort of dismay or just uncertainty, I really just like to jump into there because I feel like you never really know what you could do until you're faced with like a certain situation. So before going to shows or writing or whatever I'm doing, while I do have that anxiety and that little bit of fear, I really don't let it prevent me from sort of jumping into the deep end.
Right, totally agree. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It's
and
been a
now
pleasure.
let's get all of our guests back for our group discussion. We'll take a look into what it means to be queer in society and how it pertains to the entertainment industry. Stay put. And we're back with Greg Cox and Diamond Blacc. I want to ask Greg this question. I know earlier I asked you this question. I want to see what you would say about how queer artists are seen in the eyes of society, and not artists like specific, like it could be modeling too, or just the industry in general.
I kind of agree with Kelvin. Like I'm a model before, you know, like a queer model, or like, you know, you definitely don't want to like limit yourself and put yourself in like just one, you know, barrier. Like that's something that I identify with, but that's just literally a small piece. Like, cause you know, sometimes your sexuality doesn't really have too much to do with, you know, the actual job that you're doing. It's just about like talent and the drive. So yeah, it's just just a small part.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I want to hear everybody's thoughts on how you think they changed from a decade ago to now, or anything big that you've seen that impacted any details about who you are, or just, you know, society or the global world in general.
Well, I think definitely like in the last 10 years, we've seen just a huge boom in technology, but especially with social media. And I feel like with having, I guess, this explosion of social media, you've seen so many different expressions of different people. So I feel like it's really pushed sort of to just have more diversity, sort of more acceptance, because there's so many different people from all different walks of life putting out their truth and speaking their truth. And I think that, you know, having social media, it brought things to us, or we now see things that we normally really wouldn't see as much 10 years ago. So I think just the boom of social media has certainly made it sort of open the doors, I think, for just all different people in different walks of life and just even creatively. So I feel like just within the music industry or the arts community or the modeling industry, I think that those sort of influences have certainly sort of been sort of exposed people to a lot more than normally. So,
Right.
yeah.
Would you like to add on that?
I definitely agree. Like with the boom of social media, especially with my generation, people just aren't afraid to like be themselves, and like they don't really care, you know, what others may think about them. They just are willingly like just want to express themselves, be themselves, and they have like no shame about it. And I think that's definitely like a major spark in like our generation, because before that, when I went to middle school, you know, we didn't have like different like Instagram and like all that like different things, but it was just like so much different with seeing how others move, seeing how others dress, seeing how others, you know, wear their hair. So now you just get to like see so many different people represent however they want to be represented.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I know social media changes the way a lot of definitions of a lot of things, especially masculinity and
Right.
femininity, and you see a lot of big artists like Harry Styles and older artists like, you know, Prince, breaking these gender norms with their fashion statements. I want to hear in your own words, what do you define as masculinity?
I would just say someone that is stuck in that exact toxic masculinity definition, like someone that is very open-minded, very judgmental, doesn't like to just, you know, open their mind to a different perspective. Because I mean, at the end of the day, these are decisions that us as individuals are making, and we're just sharing our stories and just you know, telling you guys who we are. So yeah.
Okay, would you mind asking me that one more time?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
I said, in your own words, what do you define as masculinity?
I guess just a generic version of masculinity would be someone who sort of exhibits masculine or male-like characteristics. But I don't think that limits anyone to anything. I'm not saying that to define someone or categorize someone or label anyone. That's just my typical, I guess, a typical generic sort of definition. But I feel like I love that, you know, we all live in a day now where there's so many different perspectives and so many different takes on that. So it's like, you know, my definition or interpretation of it is mine, but it doesn't make it any less true than someone else who has a different one.
I totally agree with that.
Exactly.
I totally agree. I know I asked you this earlier, well, I'll ask you again. Well, both of you, how do you bring authenticity in your crafts? I know both of you guys are all about being yourself and just, staying true to your heart and what you do, but I want to hear more in depth of what being authentic means to you.
Well, being authentic is basically like creating your own path, you know, creating your own lane. Definitely as a queer person, many opportunities are not given to you, so you have to go out of the way to find those opportunities. So yeah, through like being authentic, you find opportunities that best suit you, and you don't have to like confide to maybe what a brand may say or maybe what another company may say. You choose to do this because you're authentic, you chose this, you know, opportunity for yourself, or you vouch for yourself. So it's definitely just being, I guess, self-sufficient in a way, and just staying true to like what your mission is for whatever you're trying to accomplish.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I think at the root of authenticity is self-truth, and I think that, you know, you can exhibit that or demonstrate that in your own way. I think it's definitely unique to each person. I personally think with in terms of what I do, being authentic means just interacting with people, even outside of music. Just, you know, I could tell people like, oh my God, I have so many like classes, and like I haven't done any homework, and like I have class in an hour. Like, what's up? Like, you know what I mean? I feel like it's just being really who you are, and you know, just sort of building your own community.
Yeah, I asked that because I know both of you guys know who Lauryn Hill is, right?
Yes,
right.
of course.
Okay, I'm really obsessed with her live album, and I think in one of her interludes, she was talking about how her voice started to get raspy, and how she apologized to the audience about how raspy her voice is and stuff. And, you know, at the end of it, she was just like, you know, but that's what people don't want to see. They don't want to hear your raspy voice, even if it's just a voice.
Exactly.
And I love that because she really shows how being authentic could really really improve your voice and what you're trying to say. Especially any point that you're trying to make. I feel like being true to yourself is really, really important. Do you think, I think you already made your points on this, but I want to ask you, do you think that, you know, sexual orientation is a big factor in the entertainment industry, or does society make it a big factor?
I just know we have a better creative direction, but no, not at all. Like, some spaces might make it an issue, but honestly, if you're authentic, you don't care, you're just who you are, it's not an issue at all.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I absolutely agree. I think sometimes sexuality is not even always like what we put on ourselves, but really what the outside world puts on us and how they define sexuality. And I feel like, you know, whoever you are, whatever you choose, we all are sort of beings and sexual beings, or not that it's even a sexual thing, but just, you know, our sort of makeup or whatnot. But I feel like, I don't know, one of the great things about being independent, or the rise of independent artists, are that you get to define yourself. You get to promote your image in the way that you see fit put. So if you want to use sexuality as a breaking point or a sort of cover story about who you are, then that's fine. But if you don't want to either, that's great too. I think that what's cool about now is that, you know, sexuality, it's definitely more open and it's defined more ways. And I think that it's sort of breaking down barriers of just being defined or labeled into one sexuality, or sort of being promoted or being told to be a certain way. So, you know, I feel like that's sort of coming to an end now.
Right. Unfortunately, we're all out of time right now, but I want to thank you guys. Thank you so much for joining us today for a discussion about Black, queer, and culture.
Thank
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.